Sun Tzu says, planning means carefully considering the following aspects in the ancestral temple before going to war: selecting generals, evaluating the enemy, assessing terrain, examining troops, calculating distances, and judging the difficulty of terrain. Li Quan explains, planning is paramount in warfare. The Tai Dunjia states that planning comes first, with divine blessings in the house of virtue determining the outcome between host and guest. Thus, Sun Tzu also places planning as the first chapter. Mu says, planning means calculation. What do we calculate? The 5 factors: the way, heaven, ground, general, and law. In the temple, one must first calculate the advantages and disadvantages of both sides in these 5 aspects to determine the chances of victory. The art of war considers these 5 factors most crucial, hence their placement in the first chapter. Wang Shi adds that planning refers to calculating the commander, weather conditions, terrain, laws, troop numbers, soldier quality, and the reward-punishment system. Zhang Yu quotes Guanzi, "Plans must be settled within the state before troops can be deployed." Therefore, in the art of warfare, planning comes first. Someone asked, in warfare, it is valuable to adapt to circumstances when facing the enemy. So why did Sun Tzu speak of planning in the ancestral temple? The answer is, how can one not plan ahead regarding the commander's wisdom or foolishness, the enemy's strength or weakness, the distance of terrain, and the size of forces? When 2 armies face each other and must respond to changes, it depends on the commander's judgment, which cannot be predetermined. Sun Tzu says, military affairs are the great matters of the state. The spring and autumn annals state, the great affairs of these state lie in sacrifice and warfare. Zhang Yu says, the security of the state depends on military affairs. Therefore, teaching military matters and training troops are truly the most important tasks. This concerns the ground of life and death, the path of survival or destruction, which must be carefully examined. Li Quan says, the military is a dangerous instrument, life and death depend on it. Thus, it must be taken seriously to prevent people from engaging in warfare lightly. Mu says, the survival of the state and the lives of the people all depend on military affairs, thus they must be carefully examined. Jia Lin says, ground refers to location, also meaning the places for deployment, marching, and battle. Gaining advantage leads to life, losing advantage leads to death. Thus, it is called the ground of life and death. The way is the method of gaining victory through strategy and skill. Gaining it leads to survival. Losing it leads to destruction. Thus, it must be examined. The Book of Documents says, those who have the way of survival, support them to make them secure. Those who have the way of destruction, push them toward destruction. Mei Yaochen says, terrain has distinctions of life and death. Warfare has ways of survival and destruction. Wang Shi says, once military forces are employed, life and death depend on it. Zhang Yu says, the life and death of the people is manifested here. Thus, the survival or destruction of the state is seen there. However, speaking of life and death in terms of ground, and survival and destruction in terms of the way, is because life and death depend on the ground of victory or defeat, while survival and destruction depend on the way of gain or loss. How can this not be carefully examined? Therefore, measure with 5 factors and evaluate with calculations to seek the true situation. Sun Tzu says, this refers to the 5 factors and 7 calculations below to seek out the actual conditions of both sides. Li Quan says, this refers to the 5 factors below. Evaluate means to measure. Measure and calculate distances, and seek the true conditions of things to respond to the enemy. Mu says, measure means to weigh. 5 refers to the 5 factors mentioned below. Evaluate means to assess. Calculate refers to the calculations mentioned at the beginning. Seek means to search. Conditions refers to the situations of both sides. This means first weigh the advantages and disadvantages of the 5 factors, then assess the gains and losses of calculations, and only then search out the conditions of victory or defeat between us and the enemy. Jia Lin says, evaluating the strategies of both sides, searching out the true conditions of both armies, then strengths and weaknesses can be known, and victory or defeat can be easily seen. Mei Yaochen says, weigh the 5 factors, determine the advantages and disadvantages of strategies. Wang Shi says, measure means standard, also means warp and weft. Calculate refers to the 7 calculations below. Seek means to exhaust. The great principles of warfare do not go beyond the way, heaven, earth, command, and law. Evaluating these with the 7 calculations, one can then exhaust the conditions of victory or defeat between the 2 sides. Zhang Yu says, measure means warp and weft. Above first measures the order of the 5 factors. Below then uses the 5 factors to evaluate and calculate the advantages and disadvantages of both sides, seeking out the conditions of victory or defeat. First is the way. Zhang Yu says, use benevolence and trustworthiness to govern the people. Hu says, the way means making those above and below in the state of one mind, acting for a common benefit. Second is heaven. Zhang Yu says, follow the timing of heaven. Third is earth. Zhang Yu says, understand terrain advantages. Fourth is command. Zhang Yu says, appoint the capable. Fifth is law. Du Mu says these are the 5 factors. Wang Shi says, these are the 5 factors to be measured. In the way of warfare, harmony among people is fundamental, while timing of heaven and advantages of earth are aids. When these 3 are complete, then warfare can be discussed. Warfare requires capable commanders, and with capable commanders, laws and orders can be properly established. Sun Tzu's ordering follows this reasoning. Zhang Yu says, military discipline must be strict. Command and law come last among the 5 factors. In all military campaigns, in the ancestral temple, first examine the thickness or thinness of benevolence and trust, then measure the favorability or unfavorability of heaven's timing, then examine the ease or difficulty of terrain. After these 3 are familiar, then appoint commanders for the campaign. Once troops cross the border, then orders are unified under the commander. This is the sequence. The way means making the people of one mind with their rulers. Zhang Yu says, using benevolence, trust, righteousness, and moral principle to comfort the masses, then the 3 armies will be of one mind, happy to serve. The Book of Changes says, with joy in facing danger, the people forget about death. Thus they can share life and death without fear of danger. Cao Cao says, it means to guide through teaching and orders. Danger refers to doubt and suspicion. Li Quan says, danger means destruction. When governing people with principles, people naturally submit. Gaining their unity of purpose, what destruction is there to fear? Du Mu says, the way means benevolence and righteousness. When Li Si asked Xun Qing about military affairs, he replied, what is called benevolence and righteousness is used to govern state affairs. When governance is well ordered, the people are close to their superiors, delight in their ruler, and willingly die for them. Again, in discussing military affairs with King Xiao of Zhao, he said, when all commanders are of one mind, the 3 armies unite their strength. The relationship between minister and ruler, subordinate and superior, should be like a son serving his father, a younger brother serving his elder brother, like arms protecting the head and eyes while covering the chest. Only then can those above and below be of one mind, share life and death, and not fear danger and doubt. Chen Yi's commentary is the same as Du Mu's. Meng says, one interpretation reads, people have no doubts, meaning they never have divided loyalties. Another reads, people have no danger. The way means to guide through political orders and regulate through ritual teaching, thus able to transform and make soldiers and people submit, uniting the hearts of those above and below. Therefore, The subtlety of warfare lies in using authority and strategy as the way. When the great way declines, there are laws. When laws decline, there is authority. When authority declines, there is power. When power declines, there are tactics. When tactics decline, there are numbers. When the great way declines and human nature becomes false, if one doesn't use authority and strategy to achieve victory, one cannot obtain what one wants. Therefore, the way of authority and strategy is to make the people above and below advance and retreat together, share the same loves and hates, have unified interests, make the enemy's hearts submit to virtue, obtain people's strength, and achieve the ultimate in impartiality. Thus, with hundreds of thousands of troops, their hearts can be as one, able to share life and death with them without reaching danger and destruction. Jia Lin says, "When a commander can keep the way in his heart and share benefits and hardships with others, then the soldiers will submit and naturally be of one mind with their superiors. Making soldiers love and respect one like parents and view the enemy as foes cannot be achieved without the way." The Yellowstone elder says, "Those who gain the way prosper, those who lose it perish." Du Yu says, "This means to guide through political orders and regulate through ritual teaching." Danger means doubt. When those above implement benevolence, those below can give their lives. Thus, they can face difficulties of survival or destruction together, not fearing defeat through catastrophic danger. Like during the siege of Jinyang, when they sank stoves and frogs appeared, people had no thoughts of rebellion. Mei Yaoten says, "Danger means perversity. When the ruler has the way, then government teaching is carried out. When people's hearts are harmonious, then perversity is eliminated." Thus, when the ruler is secure, the people are secure. When the ruler is in danger, the people are in danger. Wang Zhe says, "The way means the ruler has the way and can gain the people's hearts. Whoever gains the people's hearts gains their strength to die in service. Whoever gains their strength to die in service can overcome difficulties." The Book of Changes says, "With joy in facing danger, the people forget death." Thus, what difficulty is there to fear? Zhang Yu says, "Danger means doubt." When soldiers feel gratitude in life and death, survival and destruction, they are of one mind with their superiors, decisively without doubt or fear. Heaven means the system of yin and yang, cold and heat and seasons. Cao Cao says, "Follow heaven in punitive expeditions, adapting to the patterns of yin and yang and the four seasons." Therefore, the rules of Sima says, "Do not raise armies in winter or summer. This is to cherish the people." Li Quan says, "Respond to heaven and comply with people. Use timing to control the enemy." Du Mu says, "Yin and yang refer to the five elements, punishment and virtue, orientation and such things. Now the movements of the five planets can most be relied upon for verification. The writings of Wu Xian, Master Gan, Master Shi, Tang Meng, Shimo, Zishen, Bai Zhao all claim to be profound. Examining their essential points, they are all based on human affairs. The Star Classic says, where Jupiter is located, one cannot attack. Attacking will bring disaster in return." The Zuo Commentary records that in summer of the 32nd year of Duke Zhao, when Wu attacked Yue and first used troops against Yue, Shi Mo said, "Within 40 years won't Yue possess Wu? Yue has gained Jupiter, but Wu attacks it. They must receive misfortune." The commentary says, "The numbers of survival and destruction do not exceed 3 cycles. Jupiter makes 3 cycles in 36 years. Thus, it says, within 40 years. This year, Jupiter was in the Star Chronicle, which was WU's sector. Where Jupiter is located, that state has good fortune. Wu attacked first, thus received disaster in return. In the 22nd year of Duke Ai, Yue destroyed Wu. It had been 38 years.